Yeah, go ahead.
Hey everybody, this is your brother Dana coming to you from the city of Atlanta. On the line here, I have the famous Micheal Sanders. Hey Mike, how are you?
I'm blessed, man. I'm blessed today.
Good. Well, we only have about
Yeah.
probably 15 minutes left of the 20-minute call, so I want to jump in right away. But Mike, there's people that do know about you, there's others that don't. But I'd like for you to give a brief synopsis of why you were arrested. What happened around that?
Okay, well, basically, my mother had passed of lung cancer in 1996 in November. And I had basically started self-medicating with heroin and cocaine. In February of 1999, a friend that I knew since I was 13, I was 25 at the time, called me and gave me a fictitious story that he had robbed someone, that he had some money, and that we were going to hang out and basically do drugs. So anyway, 2 weeks later, our picture was captured at an ATM machine attempting to use the victim's card, and we were arrested for murder. I had no knowledge of the crime. I wasn't there. Again, my friend told me he robbed someone and got their credit card. Once I entered the police station, I was left in a dark room, handcuffed to a ring on the wall. Two homicide detectives kept coming in, questioning me about murder that I didn't have any knowledge of. And every time I told them that I didn't know, it seemed to infuriate them even more, to the point where they started physically abusing me. Basically trying to get me to confess to a crime I didn't do. Well, after 36 hours of being physically abused off and on, they finally broke my will, and I signed a coerced statement that the police fed me this fictitious story about a crime that I supposedly had was there when I wasn't there. Subsequently, I was convicted by 12 jurors 4.5 years later, received life in prison for one of the murders and 60 years at 100% for the next murder.
Right. So Mike,
I've been in
I want to.
penitentiary.
Oh,
Yeah.
Mike, let's go back a little bit. For those 36 hours, what were just some of the things that they had done to you? And for those of you that are listening, Mike's Rappy, his friend, was the one that I knew. I did not know Mike until he got locked up. And on the day that they were arraigned and were in Cook County Jail, I saw Ronnie, and Ronnie admitted to me in person that he had done these crimes on his own, that Mike had no knowledge of them, had nothing to do with it. And he asked me to go and visit Mike to encourage him that Ronnie was going to make sure that you got out. And we know that that did not happen. And we also know that judge was corrupt, and he did not allow evidence in that courtroom for the jury to be able to really make a fair judgment that you were innocent.
Correct.
He set you up as well. So
Correct.
During those 36 hours, what are some of the things that they did to you?
Yeah, for one, they didn't give me any thing to drink. They didn't feed me. As I stated earlier, they slapped me 5 or 6 times and told me to stop lying, to tell the truth. At one point, Detective Nick Rossi was his name, and pulled a chair right in front of me and punched me in the lip with his fist and told me that I was going to tell them what they needed to know. I didn't receive food until after I agreed to sign a a coerced statement 30-something hours later. Up until then, I didn't have anything to eat. I didn't drink anything to drink. I wasn't able to call anyone to notify them about me being in jail or anything. At one point, they took me in a room with, 15, 20 white male officers, and they set a chair in the middle of the floor, and they were just all yelling at me, telling me that they knew I did it. One cop walked up to me and stuck his fingers in his socks and pushed his fingers out, saying that they had prints, that I was going to jail for life and all this other stuff. It was all lies. At one point, the detective said that my co-defendant told him everything, that they knew I was there, and I said he was lying. So they took me out of the room and brought him to where I was at and asked him, was I there in front of me? And he basically went mute. And the officer grabbed him and pushed him against the door, and he shook his head indicating that I was there. That only exasperated the brazenness of the police officers in regards to forcing me to sign a coerced statement. Again, like I said, for 2 crimes I had nothing to do with.
Yeah, and Mike, I remember you stating to me that you were in that room with no windows, completely dark, and the only way you realized it was the next day is because you noticed the shoes or the clothing of the detectives that were torturing you.
True that. It would be hours on the end that no one would come. I basically was traumatized and didn't realize I was traumatized because I would hear like a lot of I could hear people walking up to the door, and I could hear their shoes slide against the floor before the door opened, and my whole body would just cringe because I just knew that they were coming in to hit me and stuff like that. I knew that the next day had passed because they would come in with changed clothes on. You could tell that they were freshly showered and stuff like that. It just seemed like I was never going to get up out of there. To this day, I've been incarcerated. It's been almost 24 years. March made 24 years.
Mike, I remember too that you had stated that the room that they had you in was supposed to be the videography room where they were supposed to video you saying that you were guilty, and that never happened.
No. I was supposed to be in a room that had a video recorder, but they never recorded it. Obviously, if they would have did that, then what they did to me more than likely wouldn't have happened, because everyone would have been able to see it. And it would have basically supported what I said happened to me in regards to being physically abused and framed for 2 murders that I had nothing to do with.
So, Mike, what has life been like for you? I mean, I know it seems like a stupid question, but what has life been like for you over all these years now as an innocent man?
Oh, wow. That's a loaded question. On one end, it's been a living hell, and on the other end, it's been a life transformation journey. I've accepted Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior several months after I was incarcerated on this case, and I've just tried to better myself throughout my whole 24 years in prison. I didn't I didn't give up. I've only tried to become a better person in the midst of this most traumatic experience I've ever experienced. I just recently received my master's degree in Christian ministry from North Park University. It was a 4-year course. As I stated last time, I graduated with high honors, and I had a 3.85 GPA, which was amazing because I was barely a CD student throughout my whole high school and college, 2 years of college that I did from 91 to 93. In the midst of going through something so traumatic, it's just amazing how I was able to do so well. I give all the glory to God. I couldn't do it without him. I'm currently waiting on a decision and a clemency petition from the governor of Christian. Exhausted all my appeals. I have no other appeals pending at this moment. And so basically my life depends on this decision.
Yeah. And Mike, I know at one time, you know, was it the exoneration project that we reached out to? I'm trying to think.
Well, yeah, I've reached out to several innocent projects.
But now one has taken
I had
your...
a lawyer from the Innocent Project that was working on my case, but then I just lost contact with her. I haven't heard anything from her in years.
But now lately, they've taken your case, so we got a little bit good news.
I've filed for a torture claim with the Torture Inquiry Relief Commission 10 years ago, and my case is up for review. So the Exoneration Project decided to pick up my case after the Torture Inquiry Relief Commission contacted them and asked them would they represent me. So yes, I do have a lawyer from the Exoneration Project looking over my case. I should have an interview with the Torture Inquiry Relief Commission concerning my torture claim. I'm not sure when, but it should be soon. And yeah, I'm hoping that ultimately they will rule in my favor.
Yeah.
Send my case back to Cook County for an evidentiary hearing on my false confession and torture claim.
Because several men, you said, have been released in the last month or two with some of the same claims of torture.
Correct. A lot of men have, probably over 10, 12 men from a different officer, didn't the officers don't mind, but ultimately, the same type of thing happened to them. They were tortured into signing false confessions, and most of them did over 20 years. And the officer has been disgraced, Detective Guevara, and so it's a pattern in practice, and these guys were able to prove that in a court of law, and their cases got overturned. I'm hoping that's what can happen with me.
Right. So, Mike, we're kind of coming to the end of our call. Got some minutes left, but what any last words, anything that you would like to share to those that have a heart for you, that know your story? Anything you'd like to share?
Well, I'd just like to thank everyone that supported me, that's believing in my innocence. That means everything to me. It gives me hope. I ask that you continue praying for me, and I ask that you call the governor's personal office demanding for my release.
Yes. And I will put that information below Mike for them to make that call. And I know you've had a couple of this last year has really been kind of rough. We lost Dad to COVID.
Correct.
And
Correct.
and then just a few months ago, you lost Aunt Mary.
Yes. Yeah, my mother's older sister, which was my last aunt, a family member, any of my mother's sisters and brothers. My mother had 7 sisters and brothers. She was my last aunt that was living. We were very close. She supported me the whole 23.5 years I was incarcerated, and it was just a devastating blow for me to experience that while I was incarcerated. I couldn't go to the funeral, pay my respects to my aunt. She was like a second mother to me. Yeah, it really was a devastating blow. I'm just hoping and praying that I can get out of here soon and be with my family, be with my brother Dana, and just live my life as a free man, to be a contributing member to society.
Yeah. I mean, you already are. I can say, Mike, that when we have gone to visit you, and even Mom and Dad were with at the time, the officers, when they would find out we were coming to see Micheal Sanders, the officers would look at us and say, that's a good man. He shouldn't be here. And so your reputation at Cook County Jail, that reputation followed you all the way to where you're at now in Joliet. And they see your character. And they're confused to why you're in there, because prior to you being arrested, you didn't have no rap sheet. You had nothing.
No. I never have been to the penitentiary. I never was convicted of anything violent or anything like that. No, essentially, I didn't have a record at all.
And you were going to school, college, as well as working.
Correct.
So we're not looking at a gentleman that has a rap sheet. We're looking at an innocent gentleman that is serving time because of the injustice and the wickedness of the system. And so, Mike, we're almost done here. So I want to thank you for sharing your story.
Yeah, I thank you for letting me share my story.
And we'll be talking soon. And, you know, Mike has become my best friend. And so I can't wait for the day that you get out, Mike, and we can do some of the things that we've been talking about for the last 23 years.
Yes, that will be a glorious day, my brother.
So
I love you, and I will talk to you soon.
All right, I love you too, Mike. Hang in there, and we're all
right.
rooting for you, all right?
Okay.
All right, brother.
Have a great night.
All right. Thanks,
All
Mike.
right.
All right. Bye-bye. So there you get a chance to hear straight from Micheal Sanders. And I pray that his testimony and just his faith that inspires me to not give up will inspire all of you who are listening. We covet your prayers, and we covet anything that you may be able to do to help us connect him to anybody that might be able to help us get his story out to those that may be able to speed up his release. Below the video, I will again put the number if you are led to call to ask Governor Pritzker of the state of Illinois, where I just moved from last March, that he would release this innocent man who we did ask for his release in front of his parole board a year ago. But due to, they said, COVID and a backlog of others, it could take up to 3 years before they even get to his case. And that's why I'm asking everybody that can to call, that 3 years will be moved up to immediately, and that our brother will be able to be set free before he sees another year behind bars. So family, this is your brother Dana, and I'm coming to you from the city of Atlanta, from a place in one love. Shalom.